and welcome back to Gav Goes In. Big up yourselves for coming through. Big up to Lumi Rain. Big up to Barbara Joseph as well. I hope everyone's having a good Monday. I'm all good. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm all good. Let me check some of your questions and comments. So Lumi says, got some inside Chelsea news. Let us know. Garnacho was upset after the game. He told teammates he would get a hero's welcome and play a key part in this game. I mean, if he thought he was going to get a good reception from the Man United fans, then he's more dumb than I thought. Because, again, when you're angling for a move, and then obviously you leave the club in the way he did, he was never going to get a good reception, let's be honest. But, I mean, in terms of him getting game time, I think a lot of it came down to the sending off of Robert Sanchez. So, again, once that happened and he took off his two wide men, you kind of knew Garnacho was never getting on anyway. You know what I mean? So, if he's surprised at those two things, then, as I said, he's a bigger idiot than I thought. Because there was no way he was going to get a hero's welcome. Because, for one, he's not a hero. And for two, obviously, the way he left the club as well. And then, again, playing a key part in the game, he was never going to start the game anyway. So, I'm not quite sure why he's upset. But big up to Lumi, man. A few senior squad players are feeling frustrated. The club spent years developing players such as Jackson and Madueke. Then go backwards by replacing with players such as Gittins and Gu. I mean, Mark Gu's a good player, and he hasn't really been given the time to play, you know. Again, Mark Gu come from Barcelona, and there was high hopes for him, you know. And again, I believe, did Chelsea get him on the free? You know, I think he's more one for the future. The Bino Gittins one, as I said, doesn't make any sense because Bino Gittins wasn't starting regularly for Borussia Dortmund. So him and the Garnacho signing, I would argue that they are two signings that have taken Chelsea backwards because you'd have to say Jackson and Madueke are actually better than both Gittins and Garnacho as a combination. So it doesn't really make sense in that part. So, but again, that's Chelsea's problem to deal with. We said this at the start of the summer when they were looking at Garnacho and Gittins and then getting rid of Jackson and Madueke. Even though I don't really rate Madueke that highly, Madueke is better than Garnacho. Is touch and go if he's better than Gittins. Probably he might be better than him. But the Nicholas Jackson one, you know, I did think Jackson had a part to play, 100%. And I believe if Jackson was, you know, in that Chelsea squad for the Man United game, who knows, man? He might have changed things. You know what I mean? So I reckon once Sanchez got sent off, you know, they could have brought on a Jackson if he was on the bench to change something. As we know, Jackson's a winning runner, and sometimes you need that in your team. So so Lumi says next sacked will be Potter. Again, we're gonna get into that anyway. Big up. Big up to Jude Fenwick. Long time, Jude, man. Where you been hiding? Big up, man. Big up for coming through. Guys, come on. Smash the like button and sub to the channel if you're new in here as well. Just one press of the button. Obviously, make sure you smash that like button. Helps the channel to grow. And as always, keep your questions and comments coming through. And I'll definitely get back to you guys. Big up to Daniela as well for coming through. Jude says the next one to be sacked will probably be Potter because Emery still has the fans behind him. Potter doesn't. I hear that. As I said, I'm going to go through a couple of things that I've noted down, some of the fixtures and stuff like that. And then I'm going to give you my view as to who I think, you know, and it's a bit, I think with all three managers, you know, it's very close. And there's little things involved for me that we're gonna discuss anyway. But guys, as I said, make sure you smash the like button and make sure you sub to the channel each and every time. So again, as the title says, who's going to be the next manager to get sacked? I think those three, you know, Graham Potter, Ruben Amorim, and Unai Emery, I think if we're being fair, I think they're the three most likely at the moment. Again, if you guys think there's any other managers that should be in the conversation, then put that in the chat. But I think those three, I think they're the obvious three. for many reasons. You know, if we look at Unai Emery, out of all three managers, I rate Unai Emery the highest. You know, I think his pedigree in terms of what he's won, you know, the Europa Leagues, how he's got this Aston Villa playing. I know this season has been pretty poor from them, but I do rate him highly. And I do eventually think he does get it together, you know, but at this moment in time, I would have to say that he might be under pressure because I think Villa have got, what, 3 points from 5 games, which is not good enough. I don't think their recruitment's been great either, if I'm honest. But yeah, I think Emery gets sacked? I don't know. I think it might be a bit of I think it might be premature to say he gets sacked after what he's done there. Let's be honest. Big up to Agnes. Big up to Broderick as well. So I mean, yeah, Emery, I like him, to be fair. I do like him as a manager. And again, he's another manager that if Amorim was to get sacked, he might be another manager that might be in the conversation, you know. I mean, a lot of fans think that he plays boring football. You know, I actually don't mind him, you know. But again, there's other managers for me that I would have ahead of Emery. And but I do rate him as a manager. I do think he is going to get Aston Villa playing, you know, and we're going to go through their fixtures. We're going to go through their results as well. And then you've got Ruben Amorim. Again, a lot of you know about Ruben Amorim from what I've spoken on, so I won't go too much onto that, but I'll go through, obviously, the fixtures coming up, etc. And then you got Graham Potter, which bring us on nicely to Graham Potter. So Graham Potter so far, guys, you know, 3 points from 5 games, which isn't great, you know. And I think the reason Graham Potter's under pressure, I think first and foremost, I think the teams he plays, you know, I mean, the way he plays, I can see Graham Potter as a progressive manager in the sense of the way he wants his teams to play. You know, he wants them to press the ball high up the pitch. But in terms of his possession, you know, that he likes, again, I think he is someone that is probably struggling with the fact that how he wants to play, he hasn't really got a collection of players like that, you know. I look at Paqueta, Jared Bowen, Max Kilman as well. You know, he's a good footballer as well. You know, I look at those three in particular. They're probably the kind of players that he can, you know, look at and think they've got what it takes to be playing the way that he wants. You know, as we see at Brighton, you know, Brighton played very good football. They continue to play good football now, even under Fabian Hurtzler. But if we look at Graham Potter was someone that was talked about as being the next England manager. I think the Chelsea move for Graham Potter is what done it for him. I think he went to that club too early, and I think in a sense that kind of tarnished his reputation. And then now at West Ham, there's talk about him getting the sack. And I think personally, he can't really argue in that sense because of the results. But I look at, you know, the way he wants to play. You know, I wouldn't mind seeing that kind of football at my team, Man United. But there's no hiding the results that West Ham have got are shocking. And I think going through their results, so they're 6 games, including the Carabao Cup as well. I mean, you look at the Sunderland game, first game of the season, 3-0, they lost. So Broderick just saw you on Troops. What's that? Broderick just saw you on Troops. I'm not sure what that is. Big up to Lumi. So it says, Broderick just saw you on Troops. I don't know what that means, but big up anyway. So if we're looking at Sunderland losing 3-0, I mean, I think the biggest problem that Graham Potter has is the losses they've had, but by the margin they've been beaten by. So if we're looking at Sunderland 3-0, Chelsea 5-1, Tottenham 3-0, and then the Palace 2-1. I think the Tottenham, Chelsea, and Sunderland games are the ones that stand out, you know, because to think that they've conceded 11 goals in 3 games from Tottenham, Sunderland, and Chelsea, this is where I think he's going to be under pressure because, you know, that is a lot to be losing by. You know, I think if they were getting beat by the odd goal, I think, again, West Ham fans won't be happy, but I think they'll um, I think West Ham fans won't be happy, but they'll be looking at it thinking, you know, maybe we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But I think the fact that he's been beaten heavily by Sunderland, a newly promoted team away from home, the Chelsea, which is a London derby, and then Tottenham again, a London derby. I think this is where he's under pressure for me. And the Carabao Cup losing 3-2 to Wolves again, that will put him under pressure because again, I think West Ham will be looking at targeting at least the cup, you know, and they're out of the Carabao Cup, or a cup run, should I say? And then the Palace narrow 2-1 the narrow 2-1 loss just the weekend gone as well. So yeah, I think in that Palace game, they actually played well from what I see. But when you're getting beat consistently the way they are, and you've got 3 points from 5 games, I think it's obvious that, you know, you're going to be under pressure, definitely. And as I said, the standout one there for me was probably the Sunderland one, because I think if you're being serious as a West Ham fan, you're probably looking at the fact that Chelsea, you know, the money they've spent, you probably expect to get beat by them. Tottenham, you know, I know Tottenham and Chelsea are both derbies, but I think if you're a West Ham fan and you're getting beat by a narrow margin, a narrow goal, then you'd probably accept that with the money that both those teams have spent. But I think it's the Sunderland game, and then probably Palace at home, you know. So, yeah, I think those games there, I think they're the ones that I can see where the West Ham fans will be frustrated. And again, if you're a West Ham fan, let me know what you think of Graham Potter. Let me know if you think he's being hard done by with the performances and the results, or do you think it's time for him to go? Because, as I said, four losses in the league, and then a loss in the Carabao Cup, and then the 1 win against Forest away from home, 3-0 score. So, again, I think he's definitely going to be in the conversation for getting a sack. Where I think, I mean, if we're looking at their next 4 games, you know, I don't really know how long Potter's got, but what I'm looking at the Everton game. I think if he can pick up a point away to Everton, because that won't be easy, because Everton have been playing well. If they can pick up a point to Everton away from home, the Arsenal game, you probably expect them to lose that away from home, you know, and then the Brentford game at home and Leeds. So I'm thinking if he picks up a point against Everton, the Arsenal game, I think it might be more of a free swing in a sense, because I think they're going to be expected to get beat by Arsenal with the form they're in. But then I think the Brentford game at home and the Leeds game away, I think that could seal Potter's fate, because, as I said, I think if you're a West Ham fan, you'll be expecting at least, you know, 4 points from those 2 games, if you're being honest, you know. I think if he draws to Everton, loses to Arsenal, I think the Arsenal game's a bonus. If they get a point, then fair enough. I don't see them beating Arsenal away from home with the form they're in. But I think if they get a point against Arsenal or Everton, I think going into the Brentford and Leeds game, he might give himself a cushion. So, but those 2 games there, he would have to at least get 4 points, in my opinion. So, I think that's where the West Ham hierarchy might be looking at Graham Potter and him staying on. So, yeah, I think the Everton game's key, because I think if he gets beat by Everton and then goes into the Arsenal game, if he's still there, and then gets beat by them, I think if he does survive, he's only surviving because they got Brentford and Leeds, and they'll be hoping that they'll pick up points there. But I think in terms of Graham Potter, I like the way he plays. I think the team he picked against Palace, you know, with the players he's got. So he played, obviously in goal was Areola. I mean, the back 4 of El Hadji Malik Diouf, the left back, I like him. I think he's good. You know, Max Kilman, left-sided centre-back as well. Mavropanos, you know, is a bit hit and miss. And then it was Carl Walker-Peters at right-back. You know, I think that's okay. It's not great. But the midfield 2 of Matthias Fernandes, who they bought from Southampton, who I think is a very good player. And then you've got Ward-Prowse in there as well. But I think where it gets exciting is moving forwards. You know, you've got Lucas Paqueta in the 10, Jared Bowen from the right, Crescencio Somerville on the left, and then Callum Wilson up top. And I think those three especially, Paqueta, Bowen, and Somerville, I think the loss of Kudus was massive for them. But I think those three can cause problems, you know, just Bowen, Paqueta, and Somerville. And I think if they can get those three out more times than not, and then have someone like a Callum Wilson, because I think Fulkrug is out injured at the moment, you know, I do expect them to pick up some points, especially against the likes of Leeds and Brentford with those three. So I can see what he's trying to do with the team. You know, he's trying to be more attacking. He's trying to get more ball players onto the pitch. But ultimately, the results are not what the West Ham fans obviously are looking at. So this is why he's under pressure, man, for me. Guys, big up. 24 of you in there. Smash the like button, guys. Come on. Just smash the like button. Help the channel to grow. And as I say, if you're enjoying the content and you're new in here, make sure you sub to the channel as well. So big up to N7 says, when will Balde return? Not too sure. I'm not sure how long he's out for, to be honest. But I rate Balde highly. You know, I think along with Nuno Mendes, you know, you've got two of the best left backs in the future for me. Mendes for me is the best left back in the world right now. You know, and I think Balde can reach that level as well. But big up to N7. Lumi says, I'm still confident in the league. Liverpool haven't been playing well and can't keep winning in this manner. I agree, Lumi. I agree. I think the fact that Liverpool haven't played well and they've picked up 5 wins from 5, you know, is the issue really for a lot of the other teams. So when they do start playing well, you know, people would be expecting them to blow teams away. So, but yeah, listen, I think all the other teams can do, you know, again, Arsenal got a tough game against Newcastle. You know, as I said, that won't be easy. And if they want to mount a challenge on this title, Newcastle's the kind of game that they need to be going to and picking up points, you know. And when I'm saying points, 3 points, you know. Again, I'm not going to rule out Man City. I think Man City, once Man City gets some of their players back as well and they strengthen that squad, you know, I think they're going to be a problem. You know, I think they haven't been beaten. I think they're unbeaten in 3 games. And let's face it, that game against Arsenal yesterday, they should have got over the line. But I think Arteta, the fact that he put on more attackers is what told in the end, really. And I think Pep kind of went the other way. So I think that's what the undoing was, in my opinion. So, but listen, I think if Arsenal want to be serious, they have to go to Newcastle and win. And we're going to see what they're on, really. Big up to Buckwheat says, who gets sacked? Pereira of Wolves, then Potter, then Amorim. Well, Pereira's not getting sacked because he signed a new contract with Wolves the other day. So he's definitely not getting sacked. The ones that I've mentioned, Potter, Amorim, and Unai Emery, I think they're the ones that are the front runners for me, definitely. You know, I think if there's anyone else, then again, make sure you guys put that in the chat. Big up to Chris and Mark as well. So Potter never fills me with confidence. Whenever I see him, always looks nervous. Yeah, I mean, I can see what you mean, but I think the way Graham Potter is, he's always been that kind of way, even when he was at Brighton. So I don't think it's fair to say that he looks nervous. I think he's always been that way. I've never seen him change. Even when he was at Chelsea, he was the same way. So I think definitely he's under the pressure. He's under pressure because of the results. But again, I think personally, this game against Everton, I think is going to be telling. Because I think if he does get beat by Everton, I don't think he might not see Arsenal. You know what I mean? So I think if he picks up a point against Everton, then maybe. But I don't know if they give him the Arsenal game. But then again, they've got Brentford and Leeds that they'll be expecting to pick up points. Because Brentford at home, Leeds newly promoted away. Who knows? Big up to Gunners fan says 2 assists for Eze in 3 games in the league. Yeah, listen, Eze's a top player, man. And Eze should have started against City yesterday. And as I said, Mikel Arteta got away with it, really. Because the fact that he didn't start Eze in that game showed the intent that he's just happy to not get beat. And that's what they got, really. So Lumi says, is Foden back to his best? I wouldn't say so. You know what? I'm a fan of Foden. I think as a footballer, Foden's very good. But you can clearly see that Foden's regressed. He has, because the Foden that come onto the scene isn't the Foden that you see now. And I think Foden's what, 24, 25, I think he might be now. And I think you can clearly see the likes of Cole Palmer has gone ahead of him, going to Chelsea. And this was a guy in Phil Foden that many fans were saying is a definite starter for club and country. I'd argue right now, if everyone's fit for Man City, does he automatically start for City? I don't know. For England, if everyone's available, he's not an automatic pick. And it's crazy to think that Foden's gone from being the player that everyone was talking about to being now having to battle for his place, you know. And I think against Man United, he was very good, you know. But against Arsenal yesterday, I think this is when you need the likes of Foden to stand up and be counted. But I think because of the physicality that Arsenal provide, I think that's what was Phil Foden's undoing. And Foden couldn't really get into the game. You know, Foden, for me, was someone that was just helping out the team in terms of his defensive duties, you know. But in terms of being on the ball in the attack, he didn't really provide anything. And it wasn't a surprise that he came off. So, yeah, I think Foden's a good player, but definitely he's not back to his best for me. He's got a lot of work to do, 100%. Do you think Simeone gets sacked from Atletico Madrid? No. Simeone is one of their managers. He's one of their managers that he'll leave Atletico when he wants to. You know, he's one of them. If you look at the longest serving managers, I believe he might be the longest serving manager in world football. I believe. Yeah, I think he's definitely one of them. It might be him or Pep. I believe they're the longest serving managers at their clubs. And as I said, he leaves when he wants to, purely because of what he's built at Atletico and what he's won with them as well. So Simeone would be a great for United. You know what? I wouldn't want Simeone at United. I'm tired of these defensive managers, you know. Even though I do rate Simeone as a manager, but I rate him as a manager for Atletico Madrid, not for Manchester United. So, yeah, I wouldn't want him at United, Lumi, to be honest. I don't fancy a West Ham new manager bounce. Hopefully Potter is still around. Listen, I think if he doesn't beat Everton if he doesn't get a point against Everton and they lose, I think he could be gone. He could be gone. But they might have the Brentford and the Leeds game in the back of their mind. So yeah. Do you think Yamal is winning the Balon d'Or? Again, I spoke about this yesterday. You know, I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I think the two guys in contention are Yamal and Dembele. Yamal should win it for me, but I think Dembele might get it because of the Champions League and because of the thing what is now GA as well. So, yeah. But yeah, guys, moving on. Obviously, spoke about Graham Potter. Let's touch on Ruben Amorim. Again, I've already been through Amorim a few times, but we're going to go through Amorim. 7 points from 5 games, which isn't great. And then if you look at the results, 1-0 loss to Arsenal, 1-1 draw with Fulham. That Carabao Cup humiliation by Grimsby, which is not going to forget my mind. 3-2 against Burnley, the 3-0 loss to Man City, and then a narrow Chelsea 2-1 win. Now, just going through those results, as I said, if we're looking at these results, I'm looking at not one of them games you could actually say was convincing. And this is why I think it's a problem for United going forwards. Regardless of he hasn't got his players or players have been out, etc. Man United haven't been convincing in any of these games. You know, the Arsenal game, a lot of fans thought United played well. I disagree. I thought United were better than Arsenal, but that was more because Arsenal weren't good. And not because United made them look shit. You know what I mean? But again, United still lost the game 1-0. The Fulham game, you know, United were fortunate to get out of that game with a draw because, let's face it, the Lenny Yoro goal was actually a foul. If you actually watch Lenny Yoro, he actually pushes Calvin Bassey in the back. The referee gave the goal, but really and truly, you've seen fouls given for that, you know. And again, I believe Bassi got given a foul for exactly the same thing. I think, was it a foul on Mount or something like that? He was given the same thing. So the fact that the ref gave a goal for that is odd. But in the end, you would probably say Fulham deserved to win the game. The Grimsby one was an absolute joke to get beat on penalties by League Two Grimsby. Burnley 3-2, again scraping at the end. And let's face it, you know, I've mentioned this before, it wasn't a penalty. Ahmad was fouled, but he was fouled outside the box. But United scrape it 3-2. The City game was an absolute embarrassment, 3-0. And then the Chelsea game, as we know already, you know, Chelsea were down to 10 men in the first 6 minutes. And again, guys, I'm going to be live at 6 p.m. with Jonas. So we're going to touch more on that anyway, on that Man United-Chelsea game. So again, 7 points from 5 games, but you'd have to say the wins have come against, you know, Burnley, which again, we've spoken about, and then that narrow 2-1 win against Chelsea. So again, I'm not really going to dwell too much on Ruben Amorim because the performances have been poor. The results that they've got have been, you can say, fortunate. And it all comes down to me. I mean, this game against Chelsea just buys him more time for these next 3 games, you know. But for me, I'm going to say that it comes down to these next 3 games for me because I believe if he doesn't beat Brentford, he would have to beat Sunderland. So I'm looking at the next 2 games, Brentford and Sunderland. They're two must-win games for Amorim if he's to keep his job. Because away to Liverpool, you'd fancy Liverpool as the favourites, definitely. I don't see that United going there and beating them. So the Brentford and Sunderland game becomes 2 must-win games. And I think if he doesn't get 2 wins against them, I don't know if he sees the Liverpool game personally. I'll be very surprised if he does, you know. I don't think this Chelsea game should be any bearing on the fact that Amorim keeps his job because that game was a bit of a one-off game. You know, there's nothing from that game that you can take into the Brentford game because, as I said, you know, Chelsea were down to 10 men. I know Casemiro got sent off in the first half as well, but you'd have to say that 10 versus 10, Chelsea were actually the better team. Not to mention they were actually chasing the game as well. So, as I said, it's going to come down to Brentford and Sunderland for me, and he has to get 6 points. You know, I don't think you can get a draw against either team. I think it has to be 6 points. And Brentford away won't be easy. And Sunderland, as we see how they've been performing this season already, at home, won't be easy. But you'd expect United to pick up 3 points there. But who knows, man, under this manager. So these are the 2 games I'm looking forward to now. The Brentford and Sunderland. And if they're not positive results, I want to see what Sir Jim and Ineos are on. So let's just see what happens there. And in the Liverpool game, I think that's more of a game that we won't speak about now because will Amorim survive that game? Who knows, you know? So, again, that's what I'm saying about Man United. It comes down to these 2 games because I do believe if he does somehow survive those 2 games, if he doesn't win, I mean, it'd be unacceptable for Ineos for me because he should have been sacked already. You know, I don't want people looking at the Chelsea game as a way of giving Amorim some breathing space because that game was a one-off. Big up to Mark Simeon says Starmer next Axin. Yeah, listen, let's hope so, man. Keir Starmer, get him out of here. That guy's a joke, man. Yeah, let's get him out of here. So Gunners fan says Yamal is inviting all of his family or something. And rightfully so. I think if Yamal doesn't win the senior award, I believe if he doesn't win the senior award, he'll win the he'll win the young player. He'll win the golden ball, the young player. So he's gonna win something, put it that way, whether it's the golden ball or whether it's the senior award. So I think that's why he's taking his family there. And listen, for me, I'm giving it to Yamal all day long, man. I'm giving him the the Balon d'Or, but I just don't think it's going to work like that. I think Dembele might be the favourite, but if we're looking at the pure football player, then Yamal has to get it for me, 100%. But who knows, man? It's going to be announced tonight, and I'll be looking forward to seeing who the winner is. And again, we'll be discussing that in due course as well. N7 says, you didn't answer my question. When will Balde return? I did. Make sure you make sure you go back after the stream and you'll see that I did answer it. N7. Lumi says, I think Ilanga would have been perfect for Amorim's system as the wing back. I hear that. But the very fact that we're talking about Ilanga in Amorim's system, just tells me why this system has to be ditched. Because Ilanga's a decent player, but there's no way I want Ilanga at Man United. And this is the problem. The fact that we're talking about Ilanga is the issue. Because Ilanga shouldn't be at Man United. And talking about him in an Amorim system, he would actually be perfect for an Amorim system. But let Amorim go and take over at another club and see if he wants to bring Ilanga with him. But not at Man United, definitely. Do you think Shaw would be better as the wing-back as opposed to a defender? No, I don't. I think if you look at Luke Shaw's build, and the way Luke Shaw is now and the injuries he's picked up, Luke Shaw is suited to this left-sided centre-back role. Because in the left-sided centre-back and the right-side centre-back, you need to be good in the wide areas. And the fact that Luke Shaw, is a left-back playing in this system as a left-side centre-back, he'll be used to the duels outs in those positions. Again, you have to be aerially dominant as well, which he's very good in the air. So he suits this left-sided centre-back role easily. I think anyone that thinks Luke Shaw should be playing as a left wing-back clearly doesn't understand the player and doesn't understand the requirements from that role. Because that role, you have to be a willing player to be up and down the pitch, which is why, I hate seeing Ahmad there, because Ahmad's got a very good attitude, but a player of his level, of his quality, shouldn't be playing wing-back. Patrick Dorgu, you would say, is more suited to that because of his physicality and his pace. But for me, Patrick Dorgu is a left-back in a 4. So yeah, Luke Shaw as a left-sided centre-back, it does suit him, because he hasn't got to get up and down the pitch and risk injury. And again, him playing as a left-sided centre-back, he's very good defensively, so it complements him well. But again, this 3 at the back nonsense, just get rid of it for me, man, along with the manager. And we can go back to a 4 and see the best players play. Big up to Abo Fazil. Is it Back Shande? Big up. Where's Cricket? Not seen him for a while. Yeah, but again, Lumi, you only see these Arsenal fans when they win the game. When they win the game, you're gonna hear from them. But when it's a loss or a draw, these guys are awfully quiet, man. So, yeah. Big up to Borhan. The only thing Starmer has got right is his choice in football club. Yeah, listen. I'd argue that's the main thing he's got wrong, Lumi. Because if he supports Arsenal, is there any surprise why you guys are losers? Let's be honest. Did you see that people are saying that the Ballon d'Or winner starts with a K or something? I think that's for the women's Ballon d'Or. I think the women's Ballon d'Or, I think the front runner might be, again, Aitana Bonmati, Alexia Putellas as well. I think those two might be the front runners. I don't know who else is in there, but I think Bonmati and Putellas might be will be the front runners, along with a few others. Again, if there's anyone that watches women's football and you think there's other players that should be in the reckoning, then let us know. Big up to Burhan. Yeah, big up Burhan, man. Big up for coming through. And as Mike said, Shaw ain't fit enough for left wing back. I agree. I think if you haven't played football before, or you have, and you don't know the requirements of a wing back's one of the hardest positions on the pitch. It's an unforgiving role because a lot of the time you're making a lot of runs for no justice, really. I think many times you're used as a decoy as well. So it's a position on the pitch that, you can ask anyone, and it's not a position that you really want to play. I mean, if you look at Giovanni Quenda, for instance, at Sporting Lisbon, who's going to Chelsea, Quenda's playing at Lisbon now, but I don't believe they're playing free at the back. I think he's playing as an actual winger. So, again, if you're looking at someone like him that chose Chelsea over Man United, it was purely because he doesn't want to play, doesn't want to be playing wing back, because playing wing back's not easy. So, again, if you're someone that hasn't played football and you're looking at the wing back role, I'll tell you now, it's not easy. And as I said, Luke Shaw, with his build, with the fact that, let's face it, he is lazy as well. The left-sided centre-back role suits him perfectly, So, but again, this formation is not sustainable for me. Mike says, Dorgu ain't too bad. He just needs to polish his crossing and final third decisions. Yeah, listen, Patrick Dorgu is a good player. He is. I mean, do I think Patrick Dorgu is the answer to Man United right now? No, I don't. I think United should have gone for a another left back to compete with him. But I think Patrick Dorgu, as I keep saying, he's the answer to Bayern Munich's Alphonso Davies for me in terms of the physicality and the pace. So I think if United went to a 4 at the back, and Dorgu plays as the left back, I think you get a better Patrick Dorgu. I do think that. So, again, yeah, he's not the finished article by any means, but I do think he will get better. And what I don't like about this system is that because he has the physicality and the pace, it's like when especially like a Bruno Fernandes, when he's in trouble, he just plays the ball over the top for Dorgu to keep chasing on. And I think eventually that's going to take its toll, which is why Luke Shaw can't play that position, because he hasn't got the physicality or the pace of Dorgu. He's more suited to playing as a defender, left-sided centre-back in that role. Xerxes isn't getting a look in lately. Yeah, exactly. And it's a disgrace, If we're looking at Joshua Xerxes, for me, if we're looking at the top 3 footballers at Man United, football players, Joshua Xerxes is in there. And the fact this manager didn't even give him 1 minute against Chelsea, again, Cunha and Mason Mount were both out injured, and they both come onto the pitch with against Chelsea, and Xerxes was nowhere to be seen. So again, that's a failure on the manager, because you can't have Joshua Xerxes, a player of that ability, not getting any game time, And this is what I'm trying to say about this manager. He doesn't like football players. He doesn't. It's very obvious he doesn't like football players. The fact that Xerxes can't even get on the pitch, Kobe Mainu is in and out of the team, more out than in. Yeah, it's an absolute joke, man. Absolute joke. So, yeah, it's just annoying, man. To be honest with you, it's annoying, but it is what it is, man. At the moment, we can't keep. I'm not gonna keep complaining, because this manager is clearly doesn't rate the football players. So it's one of them things where we have to just see what happens. As I said, these next 2 games between United got Brentford and Sunderland. I think any Man United fan will be looking at that as 6 points. And if he gets less than 6 points, he has to go. I think that's fair to say, 6 points in the next 2 games, or he goes. I'd argue anyone to tell me otherwise, Let's go on to the Unai Emery, and then we'll go back onto some of your questions. Guys, make sure you smash the like button and sub to the channel if you haven't done so already. Make sure you smash the like. Again, smashing that like button helps the channel to be seen by more people. So if you're enjoying the content and you're enjoying the dialogue, smash that like button. Big up yourselves. So Unai Emery, guys, 3 points from 5 games, which, to be honest with you, isn't great. It's not great from Aston Villa and Unai Emery. And I think the one thing that stood out to me from the six games, obviously there's a Carabao Cup in there, which they lost. I think if we're looking at the fact that, they haven't really conceded too many goals, I would say. I think the one outstanding one is the Palace game. But if you look at their results, 0-0 with Newcastle at home, a 1-0 loss to Brentford away, the Palace 3-0 at home, which was poor, Everton away 0-0, obviously getting beat by Brentford on penalties in the Carabao Cup, and then a 1-1 draw with Sunderland. So, again, they're not really scoring many goals. They've scored 1 goal, which is poor. But again, I think if we're taking out the Palace game, you know, they've conceded 1 goal other than that Palace game. So they're not really conceding many goals, really. But they're not really scoring many. So, but I think 3 points from 5 games ain't great for Unai Emery. I think, you know, their recruitment in the summer is a bit odd. I think they signed Evan and Gessan from Nice, a striker that's not really playing. Zepakino Redmond from Feyenoord, who's a younger striker. Who else did they sign? I can't think of anyone else they signed. I think they're still playing more or less the same kind of players, really. Guys, if there's anyone else that Aston Villa have signed, put that in the chat, because I can't actually remember. But I think, you know, the reason I put Emery in there is because I think Villa shouldn't find themselves with 3 points from 5 games. But I'm looking at the next fixtures that Aston Villa have got, yeah? And I think the Europa League against Bologna and Feyenoord, sandwiched in between the Fulham game, I think they'll be looking at those 3 games as games that they can pick points up. You know, I think the Fulham game at home is going to be difficult because Fulham are actually playing well and they won their last game against Brentford 3-1. But the Europa League against Bologna is a massive game for them. I think if they can get 3 points against Bologna and then go into the Fulham game, you know, I reckon it might put them in a bit better confidence. The final game away, again, you know, you'd probably expect them to beat Feyenoord, but with the form they're in, will be difficult. But then I think the reason why Emery, for me, if I'm looking at all 3 managers, the one that's least likely to get sacked is Emery. And I think the fixtures he's got in the league, Fulham, Burnley and Tottenham away. I think Fulham and Burnley, even though Fulham will be difficult, I think they'll be looking at Fulham and Burnley at least getting between 4 and 6 points there, you know. And the Tottenham game away won't be easy with the form they're in. But I definitely think between 4 and 6 points against Fulham and Burnley. And then Europa League, you'd probably expect them to pick up a minimum 4 points there. So I think that's the games that Villa will be looking at. I think if he doesn't beat Bologna, doesn't beat Fulham, gets a draw at Feyenoord, I think it puts the pressure on against Burnley and Tottenham, you know. But I do believe Villa will pick up some points eventually. But I think the Bologna one's going to go a long way to getting their confidence back. And I think Emery's the guy to do that. I don't see him getting sacked anytime soon. But definitely these next 2 games against Bologna and Fulham are the games they'll be looking at for sure, 100%. That's the way I see it going, really. Let me know what you think, guys, about the favourites to get sacked between Potter, Amorim and Emery. Who's the most likely? Let me know. Mike says, I know Amorim isn't any better, but Arteta is anti-football. He plays so negative. Who plays with 3 DMs on the pitch? Again, Mike, this is why, for me, when I spoke about it yesterday, this is why Arteta won't win anything won't win the Premier League or the Champions League, because games against Man City, they're the kind of games that you make a statement and you show, you know, the whole world that you're looking to win this league. The fact that he started with Marino, Rice and Zubimendi, you know, I think many people might be looking at that as him trying to match up City in the midfield. But if you got intent to win that game, you just go and start Eze. Because the fact that he brought Eze onto the pitch is kind of admitting you made a mistake in the first place. You know, if he would have started Eze and, you know, they lost the game, then again, fair enough. At least you've shown intent. But if you want to win this league, you have to go there with you have to go into these games with intent. And the fact that he was at home and didn't show that intent is poor. Away from home, I would understand if he put in Marino, Rice, and Zubimendi. But the fact that he didn't start Eze in a home game against, you know, one of the title challengers is poor. And then they come out there with a last-minute equaliser to get a point, which many people might be looking at that thinking it's a good point. But for me, that's 2 points lost for Arsenal there, because, as I said, those are the kind of games you have to go in there with the intent to win, which they didn't do. What a random question. What's your favorite soap? The TV soaps, not a bar of... Oh, okay. What's your favorite soap? Do you know what, Lumi? I don't really watch soaps, to be honest with you. I watch a lot of documentaries. I watch series. You know, I don't really watch soaps, to be honest with you. I've kind of gone away from all that, you know. Obviously, EastEnders. If anyone remembers Brookside back in the day, from Brookside, obviously based in Liverpool. If anyone remembers Brookside, that used to be my program. But yeah, I don't really watch soaps no more, man. I find these soaps boring. So yeah, I don't really watch it, to be fair. What's yours though? Let us know what your one is. The official Balon d'Or account were carving a name which had K, so people are Kvaratskhelia. Nah, listen, I'm not believing that, Gunners fan. I'm not believing that. There's no way, and I'll tell you this for free, yeah? There's no way Mbappe, Hakimi or Kvaratskhelia are ahead of Dembele and Yamal. And for me, you know, Mbappe in terms of his numbers, yeah, but Real Madrid won nothing last season. And again, these things do come into it. Hakimi, I can see it because, again, he was in the same team as Ousmane Dembele, you know, where they won, I think, 4 trophies, the same as Kvaratskhelia. But I think the reason why Dembele's ahead is because of numbers. I think whether people like it or not, the Ballon d'Or is based on numbers as it stands right now. And the fact that Dembele won the Champions League as well, this is why he's one of the front runners for me. So I'm not believing this K talk for me personally. I just think I think it's between Yamal and Dembele. You know, even Rafinha has a right to be in there ahead of possibly Mbappe. I know Mbappe got good numbers, but so did Rafinha. And let's not forget, Rafinha actually won a league title as well. So Rafinha has a chance to be in the conversation. But I think Yamal and Dembele are the front runners for me. So, yeah. Cucurella would be good in your system. Yeah, he would. That's because he's a very good footballer, you know. And again, Cucurella in a 4 at the back, I prefer, but not in this this wing back system for me. So Lumi says, Gav, 4 points is the minimum. So 4 points is the minimum for Man United against... I kind of know what you mean, but I'm going to say, listen, I think 6 points is a minimum for me. He has to get 6 points against Brentford and Sunderland. I think if we're saying 4 points, you're letting him off the hook. I don't think United should be aiming for 4 points. I think 6 points or he has to get sacked for me, 100%. Big up to Crawley Eagle as well. My question today is, would a FA Cup and a 9th place finish be a decent season for Amorim? Would it be a decent season? Well, I mean, if you're basing it off of last season where they finished 15th and got beat in the Europa League, then anything better than that will be decent. So a trophy and a 9th place finish is obviously better than last season. The thing is, I don't think he's gonna make it that far. Ruben Amorim doesn't see the season for me. So yeah, I think it's kind of it's a question really that really, you know, it's based on him being there for the season, which I don't think is going to happen. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't see that happening, personally. Remember when Jose was in the same conversation as Pep? Yeah, I mean, Jose's manager of Benfica now. They got beat by... No, so Karabag 3, Benfica 2. Yeah, that's why... Yeah, that's why, obviously, what's his name, got sacked. Forgot his name. He got sacked. And obviously, Mourinho took over. Gab, would you like Pep back at Barca? You know what? I would. The only thing is, people say that Pep stifles talent. You know, if you look at Jack Grealish and you look at even Bernardo Silva as well. But yeah, I would like to see him back at Barcelona. You know, I would, but I'm not sure that's going to happen, to be honest. But yeah, I would like to see him back at Barca. But maybe that ship sailed now. Maybe that ship sailed. Yeah, maybe that ship has sailed. Villa have been bad for a long time. Remember how we turned them over in the last game of last season? They haven't gotten any better. He'll have to walk soon. Yeah, again, I think he's got games where he might feel that. I think they might look at it and think, you know what, he can definitely get over the line. But yeah, no, I think I like Emery as a manager. I do. So, guys, is my audio all right? Can everyone hear me properly? Can everyone hear me properly? Just give me a thumbs up to let me know if you can hear me properly. Just give me a thumbs up. I just noticed my volume was down. Can you guys hear me properly? Good. Has it been like that all the time throughout the whole stream? Has it been good? Just give me a thumbs up. Let me know. Cool. Cool. Big up. Big up, Broderick. Big up, Lumi. I've always been loyal to EastEnders. Listen, I stopped watching EastEnders properly when Phil and Grant left, man. When Phil and Grant were on smoke in EastEnders, that's when it was good. But since they've, I mean, look at Phil now. From what I've heard, Phil's not the same Phil for obvious reasons. You know, he's getting older as well. And Grant's obviously in and out of the show. But ever since Grant and Phil, when they were in it, you know, them two as a tag team, they were on absolute smoke. And obviously that's when I stopped really watching it. But yeah, listen, man, I don't really watch it as much, you know. Yeah, listen, big up to Barbara. Listen, Brookside was fire. Brookside was mad. You know, Jimmy Corkill and all that, you know. If anyone remembers Jimmy Corkill. Listen, that brings back memories, man. I used to love Brookside. Obviously based in Liverpool, man. But yeah, that's no longer. But that was one of my favourites, Brookside. Big up to Andrew McDonald, says, you really know your stuff. You're really good at this. Yeah, appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Listen, football's my life and has been for 30 odd years. So I should hope that I do know it, really. But nah, big up yourself, man. Big up for your comment. So Phil is a pussy now. Listen, I can't take that seriously because yeah, listen, Philip Mitchell, man, him and Grant Mitchell, them two were mad. And you know what? I'm glad you've mentioned Tom Hardy, Lumi, yeah, because one of my favorite shows I'm watching at the moment, which is On a Break, and I know you guys have definitely watched it. I can't actually remember the name of it now. It's actually taking a break. Someone's gonna say it in the chat. I know you are. Guys, what's that new Tom Hardy series? I can't remember the name of it now. It's bugging me. What's it called again? I know someone's gonna. There we go. Mobland. Yeah, listen, guys. If anyone hasn't watched Mobland, Tom Hardy, give that a watch. It's on a break at the moment, but yeah, make sure you guys watch that, man. Sick series. One of the best series I've seen so far. It's with Pierce Brosnan as well. If anyone doesn't remember Pierce Brosnan, James Bond, yeah, make sure you guys give that a watch. You know, I love my series. Again, if you guys like your series, you know, I'm gonna give you guys a few series to watch. Yeah, I know you guys have watched Prison Break, so guys, note this down. Prison Break. I know you guys have watched Game of Thrones. So you got Prison Break, Game of Thrones. What else we got? If you guys get a chance, watch a series called Banshee. Yeah, watch Banshee. Banshee's one of my favorites. The City is Ours. What's that? I've never seen that. I've heard of, big up to Cragger. I've heard of Kin. Kin's the Irish one. I stopped watching that one though. Maybe I might need to go and watch that again. So basically, the guy from Kin is in Mobland. So I'm going to have to watch Kin again. But I stopped watching that. Do you know what? I actually forgot. Yeah, I need to go and watch that again, Kin. Big up to Cragger, man. That's one I forgot. The City is ours. You know what? Let me go and write this down before I forget. Big up, man. Let me get a pen. 1 minute. I love my series. So let me write this down, yeah? So we got Kin and we got the City is ours. Big up, man. Big up to Cragger. Big up to Bookworm as well. Baby Reindeer? What the hell's that? Never heard of Baby Reindeer. That's new to me. Lumi, you making up series? Baby Reindeer. Guys, you need to watch Prison Break. Obviously, Game of Thrones. I'm pretty sure you've seen that anyway. But you need to watch Banshee. Yeah? And another one you need to watch, Tulsa King with Sylvester Stallone. Big up to Rocky. So you need to watch Tulsa King. I think it's on the 3rd season now. And I think there's a new episode out at the moment. So, yeah, if you guys get a chance, man, you need to watch that. Yeah. But Banshee's one of my favorites. You know, Lucas Hood. You need to watch it. Yeah, you need to watch that, man. Definitely. Is there anyone else? So Banshee is Banshee, as in there's an area in America called Banshee. So it's BANSHEE. Yeah, big up to Smokey, man. Listen, Banshee was a sick series. If you haven't seen Banshee, guys, you can try and get it on. I think if you just type it on the search on your Sky, it should come up. But I promise you, it's one of the best series you'll ever see. It's one of the best series. Who's the funniest actor, Adam Sandler or Kevin Hart? To be fair, I don't really watch either one of them. I'll be honest. I don't really watch either one of them. I mean, I've seen a couple of things of them, but yeah, I don't really watch them. Gangs of London, yeah, seen that as well. Gangs of London's sick. Yeah, you need to watch that if you get a chance. Yeah, guys, Gangs of London's another one. What else is there? I need to watch Penguin. I haven't even seen Penguin yet. I need to watch that. Who else is there? Guys, if you guys got any more series to watch, put it in the chat. I can't remember. The ones I remember, as I say, Game of Thrones, Prison Break, Banshee, Tulsa King. Yeah, I think I said it already. You need to watch Tulsa King. Black Rabbit. Black Rabbit. What the hell's that? Never heard of Black Rabbit. Let me write that down. Black Rabbit. Yellow. Oh, is Yellowstone? Is that with Kevin Costner? Is that with Kevin Costner? Fargo. I've heard of Fargo. Mayor of Kingston. Of Kingstown. Oh, you guys are giving me some sick shows to watch, man. Mayor of Kingstown and Fargo, yeah? Fargo. Inside Man. Guys, are these series or are these films? So that is really good. It's real modern cowboys. Okay. Fargo was good. Oh, these are series, yeah? Cool. What else we got? Guys, no one's even said if they've seen Tulsa King. Have you guys seen Tulsa King? Give me a thumbs up if you've seen Tulsa King. with Dwight Manfredi. Yeah, big up to Smokey. Yeah, listen, Dwight Manfredi, Sylvester Stallone, man. You need to watch Tulsa King. As I said, the third series is up and running now. Lumi, you need to watch Tulsa King with Sylvester Stallone. Big up to Krager as well. So the first series, guys, come out the other day. There's only one episode, but you need to watch it from the start, man. Stallone, man, the guy's too good of an actor, you know, too good. You know, Dwight Manfredi, man. You need to watch it. No one in there's seen Prison Break, no? Anyone seen Prison Break? Give me a thumbs up if you've seen Prison Break before. Or Game of Thrones. Yeah, big up to Smokey, man. I know exactly what you're saying. I'm the same thing. When it's just one episode, you're like, this is long because you have to keep waiting a week. But I literally just see it this morning. That is an episode on there. Yeah, listen. Prison Breaking and Game of Thrones. Obviously, I know you guys have seen Power as well. Power's one of the best. Give me a thumbs up, guys, if you've seen Power. Football coach in America. I've never heard that one. Guys, give me a thumbs up if you guys have seen Power. If you've seen the spin-offs as well. So you got Power Book Force, which is Tommy's one. Obviously, you got Raising Canaan as well. And then you've got guys, what I heard as well, there's one coming up where Ghost and Tommy, they're actually younger, and they've got that one coming up soon. So it shows Ghost and Tommy when they were back in school. So I remember seeing like a little trailer of that. So maybe that's the next one coming out. But in terms of Power, man, I've seen literally all of it. I'm up to date with all of it. Raising Canaan, Power Book Force 2, The Normal Power. Yeah, listen, big up to Bookworm, man. Listen, the original Power, man, was the one. The original Power was the one. You know, I think a lot of people say the same thing, that the spin-offs or, you know, even the Tariq one as well. Nothing beats the original, but I've seen all of them. So, yeah, Top Boy as well. Big up Krager. Big up to Exeger as well. Big up my guy. Yeah, listen. Does Ghost and Tommy fall out and go against each other? No. Well, I mean, how can I say it? They kind of do, but again, if you haven't seen the whole of the Power series, the whole of Power season 1, season 2, then it gives you your answer there. So I don't really want to spoil it for you, Lumi, but big up to a steak says, do you watch UFC? I do. I'll be honest though, I haven't watched UFC as it is right now. I'm more back in the day, you know, UFC. But let me know, man. If you got any UFC talk, then yeah, put that in there as well. So Bookworm says, I couldn't stand Tariq. You know what, Bookworm, yeah? You're not the first one to say that, because a lot of people, what they say is that when you've seen James St. Patrick Ghost, I think they look at Tariq's trying too hard to be like his dad, and it's just failing. You know, but as I said, man, I just love watching Power anyway. So, you know, but a lot of people don't really like watching the Tariq one. Yeah, big up Krager, man. So do you allow to talk about UFC here or only football? So, bro, listen, if you look at my description, it's football, it's UFC, it's wrestling, and just general talk, man. So any chat is welcome, as Lumi says, man, as long as it's positive. Big up. What's adolescence? I've heard of that, actually. Adolescence. Yeah, I've heard of that. I've not seen it, though. Gav, I wanted to know what you think of Sesko. I've got my reservations, but I know that his midfield won't be helping him whatsoever. Can't believe Xerxes hasn't been getting starts. Yeah, big up, Zedra, bro. What I would say about Sesko, I think I've already mentioned this already, yeah? Sesko was someone that I didn't want United signing, purely because we was told, you know, by a lot of these deluded fans that United needed a 30-goal-a-season striker, which, again, isn't true. So this is why they were pivoting towards Victor Gyökeres. Now, the fact that all of a sudden, when Gyökeres goes to Arsenal, United fans were saying, let's go and get Sesko. someone that only scored 13 goals in the Bundesliga, to me was very hypocritical and didn't make any sense, yeah? So I didn't really want Sesko in that sense because I wanted Premier League proven. I wanted either Mateta, Johan Visser, or even an Ivan Toney. I wanted either one of them three. The fact that United signed Sesko and it meant Rasmus Højlund going out the door, then for me, it's a better signing. You know, from what I've seen of Sesko so far, I've actually been impressed with what he's done. You know, in terms of his touch, his runs as well. Again, as we know, this team just doesn't create chances for the striker. But from what I've seen of Sesko, he actually has done very well. The problem that I have with this manager is that Joshua Zirkzee should be the main number 9, and it should be Sesko and him battling for that spot. You know, I just want to see United start with Sesko with Mbeumo and Cunha, and then if it's not going right, bring on Sesko and see if he can change the game. You know, but I think we've got 2 strikers there that are both different, so I'm quite satisfied with the options. But the fact that Zirkzee got no minutes against Chelsea, and then Cunha and Mount both come from injury and both played, that's where this manager is an absolute joke. You know what I mean? So, yeah, this is where the problems are. But again, I'm not going to be here complaining because this manager clearly doesn't rate football players. So this is why, for me, he has to get out the club. And hopefully that's sooner rather than later, you know? Yeah, listen, Ricky Hatton, man, that was crazy. Don't forget BMF. What's BMF? Yeah, listen, 007. Listen, James Bond 007 is probably my I'm pretty sure you're talking about 007 James Bond and not someone else. But listen, 007 James Bond, one of my favorites to watch for me. So yeah, Gab, would you take Balon? Oh, here we go. I'm not even going to read the full thing out. The answer's no, though, Lumi. Big up. So Cragger wanted Ollie Watkins. Do you know what? I didn't really want Watkins, I'll be honest. I didn't really want Watkins. I think Watkins is a good player, but I didn't really want Watkins. As I said, I wanted Visser, Mateta, or Ivan Toney, which would have been which would have been, you know, which probably wouldn't have happened, but they were the 3 names I wanted. BHS says, prediction, where will Man United finish this season? So under this manager, bottom half. Under this manager. Yeah. I can't tell you where, but it'd be bottom half under this manager. You change the system, you change the manager, then I'll be looking at between top 6 and top 4. I don't think it's impossible. I think people are looking at the fact that this system is poor, which is why I think they're looking at United not finishing as high as that. But I guarantee you, if you get a better manager in and you play the system that's going to get the best out of these players, you know, top 6 is where United should be aiming for with the squad they've got, you know. Asteg895 says, as you're from United Kingdom, do you like England UFC fighters or are your favourites from other nationalities? Big up Asteg. So if I tell you about fighters from in the past, the ones that I like, one of my favourites is John Jones. John Jones is ridiculous. You know, he's probably the best that I've ever seen in UFC. The guy is just unbeatable, man, you know. So John Jones, Anderson Silva, you know, Anderson Silva was ridiculous in his prime. You know, I used to like guys like Anthony Pettis, Showtime, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. If anyone remembers a guy called Renan Barral as well, he used to dominate. Uriah Faber, TJ Dillashaw. Garbrandt was decent though. Dominic Cruz. Yeah, listen, even in the heavyweight, you know, you had Fabrizio Verdum as well. Obviously, you got Cain Velasquez. There's loads, man. There's loads of fighters I still love. For me, I like Leon Edwards as well. For me, I just like watching fighters, you know. It's not what nationality they're from. I just like certain fighters. But my top 2 are obviously Israel Adesanya I liked as well, but he's kind of dropped off. But my top 2 are John Jones and Anderson Silva. From this era now, I'll be honest with you, I don't really watch it as much. You know, I need to get back into it. But from the previous era, yeah, John Jones and Anderson Silva for me. You know, oh, and how can I forget? GSP, Jules St. Pierre, another one of my favourites. So yeah, them guys there, man. So I think Xerxes and Sesko can work as a 2. They can. I mean, if you play a 4-2-3-1, I would like to see Ahmad in the 10. But you can play Xerxes in the 10 and then play Sesko as the 9. You know, but I'd like to see Ahmad there and play Xerxes as the 9. But again, they're both gonna get game time. But this manager clearly doesn't rate Joshua Xerxes, which is why he needs to piss off for me. You know, we need to play Kobe more. We do 100%. I agree. Sesko is not bad. As an Arsenal fan, I preferred him over Gyökeres. He's a bit mobile and link-up play seems better from the little I've seen of him anyway. But listen, Sesko is actually a better footballer than Gyökeres. Gyökeres, to me, looks like a bricklayer that's just discovered playing football. That's the honest truth. Like, I don't rate Gyökeres, you know. I think he's massively overrated. And as you can see, against the better teams, he does struggle. He struggled yesterday, you know, so... yeah, I don't really rate him that highly. I'll have to be honest, you know. Yeah, listen, man. Do you know what? The Book of Eli. I've never seen that. I've never seen that. Big up, Exedra. The Equalizer, of course, but you know what? You know what it is with the Equalizer, yeah. 2 and 3 are shit. The best one's the first one. Actually, no, wait. Is the first? Yeah, yeah. The best one's the first one. You know, where he goes into the office and just smokes them Ukrainians in there. I think they were Ukrainian or Serbians or whatever. That's the best one. But the second one and the third one, yeah, I think whenever they start doing second and third of films, it usually isn't that great, man. But the first Equalizer, yeah, listen, Denzel was just on prime form there, man. Ridiculous. Ridiculous actor. Yeah, big up Lumi, man. Big up Lumi. Big up. Make sure you check out them films as well. United squad on paper, we've got some quality players. We have De Ligt, Euro, Kobe Mainu, Ahmad, Mbuemo, Cunha, Xerxes. Those guys for me is what the team needs to be built around. And then you've got the likes of Dorgu, you know, Sesko, obviously Mazraoui as well, another one. Man United have got some very good players. They have. Okay, so look, guys, as I said, the Balon d'Or front runners. There's Yamal, Dembele, Rafinha, and Salah. Salah's not going to win it because even though he got good numbers but didn't win the Premier League or Champions League. Rafinha, as I mentioned, him and Yamal are in the same conversation. He got better numbers than Yamal, but Yamal's obviously the star boy and had decent numbers as well. And then Dembele, again, won Champions League and had good numbers. So, as I said, those 4 there were always going to be the front runners for me. Those 4 there. But Yamal, for me, the best player and has to win it. But I think Dembele might get it, personally, you know. Will Smith films are OGs. Wow, Michael Bisping, no way. To be fair, Bisping was tough. And I remember when Bisping got destroyed by GSP, Jules St. Pierre. But Bisping was a champ as well, so fair enough to him. He was tough. But yeah, John Jones is ridiculous. I mean, there's not a weakness to John Jones's game. That's why he's so good. I mean, he can submit you. He can do stand-up. He's got mad elbow strikes. Like, he's just got everything there is, you know. And for me, I don't think I've seen a more complete fighter than John Jones. Obviously, got likes of Khabib as well. You know, that's in the discussion. But John Jones, for me, is the complete fighter, man. Is the complete fighter. The only person that I've seen give John Jones problems, I have to say, was there's 2 fighters. Alexander Gustafsson, the Mauler, the Swedish guy, and Dominic Reyes. If you guys haven't seen the Dominic Reyes fight and the Gustafsson fight, they're the only 2 that I would possibly say has given him the toughest fights. I know there was talk about him fighting, what's the English guy? Is it Tom something? Tom Aspinall, I think his name was. I'm not sure what's happening with that fight. I don't think that's going to happen. But Krager says Chael Sonnen. Yeah, listen, Chael Sonnen was Chael Sonnen, I used to hate Chelsea Sunderland personally. Mirko Krokop, Broderick says, yeah, Krokop was the Croatian guy. But yeah, listen, them guys are not in the convo with John Jones. DJ's a goat. He is Mighty Mouse Johnson. But yeah, Chelsea Sunderland, man. When Chelsea Sunderland fought Anderson Silva, and Anderson Silva put him to sleep, man. Listen, he used to run his mouth, that Chelsea Sunderland. But listen, there's some great fighters, man. But yeah, I used to watch it back in the day. Not as much now, man. Kobe getting 4 minutes against 10 men is a crime. 100% it is. It is. But that's the manager for you. Who do you think the best Man United player right now, other than Bruno and Casemiro? Well, to be honest with you, Bruno's not the best player at Man United, so let's park that one. The best player at Man United right now, for me, it depends, because it's very subjective. Because if I'm looking at the best player right now in terms of not in positions, just the best player, you have to look at Matthias de Ligt. De Ligt's been flawless this season. So I'd say he's the best player at Man United right now. But again, this is a subjective question, because if you're looking at just the best player overall, you know, or if we're disregarding performances, you know, you have to look at the likes of Cunha, Ahmad, Mbuemo, probably. Yeah, it's hard to say because it's very subjective. But what I will tell you is that Bruno is not the best player. You know, Casemiro's the biggest name. You know, he's done the best in his career out of anyone at Man United. But in terms of the best player, the best performing player has been Matthias de Ligt. But the best player is has to be with Cunha, Ahmad, you know, Mbuemo, someone like that for me. You know, I'd like to say Xerxes, but he hasn't been given enough game time, but he's up there for me as well. So, yeah. Nick Diaz, yeah. Nate Diaz, his brother. He was tough as well. Krager says, I think Bruno needs to be one of the 10s. But again, Krager, big up yourself, yeah? What you need to realise, yeah, is that Bruno Fernandes ain't even a number 10. Like, this makes me laugh. Bruno Fernandes ain't even a number 10. He's never been a number 10. The only reason why people think Bruno's a 10 is because Solskjaer and Ten Hag played him in that position. But he's not a natural number 10. He's not. There's a reason why Bruno wears number 8 on his back and has a number 8 tattoo. Because he's actually a number 8 box-to-box midfielder in a 3. So if you're playing a 4-3-3, he can play right side of the 3. In a 4-2-3-1, he can play as a 10. But he's not a number 10. I'll tell you that for free. He's not a number 10. And again, when people are saying Bruno has to play as a 10 in this system, the reason why he can't play as a 10 in this system is because in this system, you know, the 3-4-2-1, your number 10s have to be good in possession, you know, in tight spaces on the half turn. You have to be good at isolating your fullback in terms of being able to get past them with pace or skill. All these things that Bruno hasn't got. A lot of the time as well, you know, you need to be good with your back up against the opposition on the half turn, as I said, which Bruno can't do. Bruno's not good with his back with his back to goal. He's decent facing the goal when he's got time, but in terms of in the tight spaces as a number 10, what they need, he hasn't got those qualities. So the problem is he's not good in the 10 and he's not good in the 6 or the 8. So the answer is you drop him. But this manager is incapable of dropping Bruno Fernandes. This is the problem. But for everyone that thinks Bruno's a 10, he's not a number 10, never has been. If I'm looking at number 10s from years gone by, these are real number 10s. Zidane, Ronaldinho, Totti, Del Piero, Riquelme, Pablo Aimar, Di Canio, Letizier. There's probably guys I've forgotten, yeah? But those guys are real number 10s. Bruno's never been number 10. So people that think Bruno's a 10, yeah, he's not. He's not that. Yeah, but big up Krager, man. Den's always one of the best actors of all time. He is 100%. So BHS says, who do you think will win the Golden Boy? Well, do you know what? I think the Golden Boy might be between Yamal Doué and... Yeah, I I think the golden boy is going to be between Yamal and Doué. So if Yamal doesn't win the senior award, they'll give him the golden boy. But if Yamal wins the senior award, I think they give the golden boy to Doué. Because again, Doué won Champions League and he scored 2 in the finals. So they might give Doué the golden boy. But I think Yamal will either win the senior award or the golden boy for me. So it depends. Palmer's out for 4 months. No way. No fucking way. 4 months is out for. That's crazy. 4 months. Yeah, listen, Cragger, he was entertaining Chelsea, and he was. Even the press conferences I used to watch, yeah, he was entertaining. But I didn't really rate him as a fighter, to be fair. He was tough, but he's not out for 4 months. That's Lumi, yeah. Edit says he's more of an off-the-ball runner, I guess. He is, Bruno. He is. Bruno's one of them guys that he'll run all day for you, but as a footballer, yeah, he's not up there, not one bit. So you're right. I prefer it a 4-3-3. Bruno could be the cam feeding Cunha, Mbeumo, and Xerxes. Yeah, but again, in the 4-3-3, you know, he can fit in a 4-3-3, but the 4-2-3-1, as I said, and big up to Cragger. So the 4-2-3-1, which is what I want to see, yeah. This Man United team, which is what I want to see, is whoever in goal, Lamens or Bayinde, Mazraoui right back, Dorgu left back, Yoro and De Ligt centre back, the 2 midfielders, Kobe and Casemiro, Ahmad in the 10, Xerxes up top, Mbeumo on the right, Cunha on the left. That's the team that I want to see play. And I guarantee you, if you were to see that team for 5 games, yeah, I guarantee you'll see better football from the get-go, and you'll see an upturn in results. And again, you've got the bench options that can come on if things ain't going right. But the problem is you've got a manager here that's never going to do that. And obviously it means changing that system. So, yeah, it's not going to happen. But that's a team I'd love to see from United. Nah, bro, you're bugging. Without Bruno, you guys would have got relegated. He needs a CDM with legs behind him. Kante-like, or maybe play your guy in mind with Bruno in front. Big up to Bookworm. I disagree massively. And again, people that say United would have got relegated with Bruno, United would have got relegated without Bruno. Look where we are with Bruno. Like, people that say these things, yeah, it's just nonsense. You're saying United would have got relegated with Bruno. United almost got relegated with Bruno. So what are we talking about here? Bruno doesn't need a CDM behind him, yeah? Bruno has been the constant in this team. And again, Bookworm, you need to realize, yeah, Man United have recorded their lowest ever finishes with Bruno as captain and a regular in the team. So as I said, Bruno is someone that needs to be moved on. So it's not a case of bringing in someone to play with Bruno. Bruno's been the one constant and he's been the biggest problem. So when you're saying United would have got relegated without Bruno, yeah, that's nonsense. We finished 15th and lost Europa League final with Bruno in the team. I guarantee you this now. You take Bruno out the team will perform better. I guarantee you. BHS says, what about Pedri? Listen, Pedri is one of my favorite players. For me, he's the best midfielder in the world, along with Caicedo and Vitinha, and probably Ryan Gravenberch right now. You know, so Pedri for me would always be in the Balon d'Or conversation, but the reason why I didn't put Pedri in there is because I know how this Balon d'Or works. And if you look at the 4 players that are the front runners, you know, they've all got numbers on their side. So Salah, mad numbers. Dembele, mad numbers. Rafinha, mad numbers. Yamal, good numbers. Yeah. So again, Pedri didn't get mad numbers, but this is where football's gone now. So you have to look at things like that. If we're giving it to just the best footballer, Pedri and Yamal are in there by themselves, you know. But again, Vitinha should be in there because he's a great footballer. But as you know, with the Balon d'Or, it's based on numbers and what they've won. And then if you look at, as I said, Dembele won a Champions League, good numbers. Salah got good numbers, but didn't win. Well, but won the league. Yamal won a league and had decent numbers. Rafinha won the league and had very good numbers. That's what it's based on. Even though Pedri won the league, but he's done the same thing as Yamal and Rafinha, but again, didn't get mad numbers, you know. But if it was me and I was in charge, I'll just give it to the best player, because that's what the Ballon d'Or should be. The fact that we had to see Scott McTominay be a nominee just shows you how bad football is now, because McTominay got in there because of the Napoli winning the league and he had decent numbers. But there's no one that can tell me Scott McTominay is one of the best players in the world. And that's what the Ballon d'Or should be based on, the best player in the world. You know, but Pedri should definitely be in there. You know, top player, man. So Doué is going to get the golden boy, but Yamal gets the copper. Exactly what I said. I think if Yamal wins the senior award, they'll give Doué the golden boy. But the thing is, I reckon what's going to happen, I think Dembele gets the senior award and Yamal gets the golden boy. I think that's what happens. So Palmer's from my ends, Wivenshaw. I went to school with his dad. Big up to Cragger, man. Cole Palmer's a top player, man. Obviously, Wivenshaw, obviously, is where Rashford's from as well. Yeah, listen, Palmer's a top player, man. Like, he's a top player, man. And again, in the future, I expect him to be in the conversation for Ballon d'Or as well, man. He's a top player. Yeah, we would win with that team. Listen, that team, I said the 4-2-3-1. I'm telling you now, you know, that is a very good team. A very good team. And I just want a manager to see the vision in that team and see what happens, you know. Right, guys, we'll go through a couple more of your comments and questions, and then we're gonna wrap up. Guys, I'm gonna be back at 6 p.m. with Jonas, so make sure you guys come through and give us your support as well. Obviously, Jonas is a Liverpool fan, so we're gonna get into the Merseyside derby talk, and obviously we're gonna touch on the Man United Chelsea game as well. So again, if you guys have enjoyed the content, smash that like button, sub to the channel if you're new in here as well, and again, make sure you join us at 6 p.m. So let's go through a few more of your comments. So Cragger says, I would have sold Bruno for the 100 million Saudi was offering. But again, Cragger, that's a no-brainer, man. I mean, the fact that the club left it in the hands of Amorim and Bruno is an absolute disgrace, to be honest with you, because imagine what you could have done in that midfield. You know, Baleba would have already been here. But the fact this manager is in love with Bruno and he's still here, this is the problem, you know. So let's just wait. Amorim ain't ready to change the system. According to the players, he's too focused on laying his own tactical system on the players. But listen, Amorim's not going to change the system, which is ultimately going to be his downfall, you know, because if you're Ineos, you have to be looking at this sideways and thinking it's not been great, you know. And as I said, the next 2 games against Brentford and Sunderland, I'm expecting 6 points minimum. And if he doesn't get that, I'll be surprised if he's in charge at Liverpool, you know. And if he is in charge at Liverpool, having not got 6 points, I'll be looking at Ineos differently and thinking, yeah, they're just failing at the moment, to be honest with you. That's what I'll be looking at. So Yamal won the league and the European Cup. Yeah, listen, I hear that. I do hear that. But Champions League is a big thing as well. As I said, I'm giving it to Yamal, Ballon d'Or. I am, because he's the best player. But I think Dembele might get the senior award, because if Dembele just won Champions League and had shit numbers, I think Yamal will get it for me. But I think because he had decent numbers, good numbers, Dembele, and won Ballon d'Or, I just think he might be I think he might be the front runner for that. Yeah, big up to Cragger, man. Big up for coming through. But guys, listen up. Big up yourselves for coming through. Again, make sure you smash the like button and sub to the channel if you haven't done so already. I'm going to be back at 6 o'clock with Jonas. So make sure you guys come and tune in for that one. And obviously, keep showing us your support as well. Much appreciate you guys coming on and interacting with some great questions and comments. So as I said, yeah, Let me know what you think, guys, as well in the comments afterwards. Who's going to be the most likely manager to get sacked? Is it Graham Potter, Ruben Amorim, or Unai Emery? You know, let us know what you think. Again, sub to the channel if you're new and check out the other content. Guys, some of the content, I'm going to start putting them into chapters so you guys can go on to anything in particular that you want to see. So yeah, this one I'll be putting into chapters after. So make sure you guys go and check that one out. And as I said, make sure you join us at 6 o'clock with myself and Jonas. And give us your questions and comments as always. Big up yourselves each and every time. Sub to the channel, smash the like button, and I'll catch you guys at 6. Take it easy.